Preparing for a messy commute home. A travel advisory remains in effect for Toronto and much of the GTA, with up to 15 centimeters of snow expected in the latest blast of winter weather to hit the city. Good evening. Residents are advised to be extra cautious on the roads and are being warned about longer commute times as a result of the conditions.
The region is being blanketed by falling flakes, creating a winter wonderland for outdoor activities just in time for Christmas. CTV's Beth McDonnell is at Riverdale Park tonight. Beth, a perfect place for fun in the snow.
Natalie, this snow is aggravating for drivers, but kids on the toboggan hill here at Riverdale Park have been loving it all day. It snowed around noon, and then it's been snowing again for about an hour and a bit, I would say, and kids are really hoping this snowy weather sticks around for the holidays. It's a glorious sight for sledders at Riverdale Park, Toronto, becoming like a snow globe.
It's fluffy, it's white. You can go tobogganing with your friends. It's awesome.
It feels amazing, especially because it's on the holidays and school's out.
The snow, such an anomaly for some, it's something to show off on a video call.
Freezing. Yeah, I'm from South Carolina, USA.
A white Christmas looking more and more promising.
This will be our white Christmas. We haven't had one in 4 years. And so this is really an opportunity to celebrate and to enjoy.
The city's snow clearing staff are gearing up. Crews will salt roads when the snow starts sticking to the pavement. Last-minute shoppers are out navigating the best they can.
It's busy. There's a lot of traffic out. So that's what's making it slow right now.
Yeah. Honestly, it's slow, but it's not bad.
City plows will clear sidewalks and bikeways at 2 centimeters of snow, expressways at 2.5 centimeters, 5 centimeters for major roads, and 8 centimeters for residential streets.
We have the first round of equipment out there, and they'll be working all through the day into the evening and possibly into the overnight in the morning.
Drivers are reminded to keep a safe distance from equipment, to slow down and pay extra attention on the road when the temperature dips below zero.
Realize that it can change quickly, and very often the first time people realize that the roads are actually slippery is when they're hitting the brakes because they don't want to hit the car in front of them, and they end up sliding into the back of traffic.
A thought far from the minds of children on the toboggan hill.
I want to have a white Christmas, and it's just really fun to go with your friends and go down this giant hill.
The falling snow very welcome, along with excitement it could stick around over the holidays. The city is expecting the snow to fall evenly across the city in the same amount of time. It has 1,400 pieces of equipment at the ready for this weather event over at Pearson Airport. Nav Canada Operations is reporting some delays, and the airport says it is working to move travelers as safely as possible. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Natalie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Meanwhile, the TTC says it has extra employees and maintenance staff on duty to deal with any weather-related issues. Additional buses will also be deployed on certain routes if necessary. Some bus stops could be taken out of service if conditions become too dangerous in certain areas. And here's a live look outside tonight at the current conditions down at Nathan Phillips Square. Very snowy at this hour. The question is, how long will it last? Our Jessica Smith has been tracking this latest blast of winter weather and joins us now with the latest. Jess.
It looks nice when you're inside or if you're down there on the rink, but it is a little challenging for drivers out there. The snow continues this evening and to start the day tomorrow, and then we do get a bit of a break from the active weather. But for now, everybody in southern Ontario is getting a little something. It is prompting some watches and warnings, and those travel advisories remain in place, likely to carry us straight through the overnight. Snowfall warnings a little further north from Barrie to Parry Sound and out towards areas through Ottawa. Now, temperature-wise, it's not as cold as it could be. We're kind of sitting around -2, feeling like -6, and we're staying above seasonal now as you head right through to pretty much the end of the year. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including what we can expect. We are going to see a white Christmas, but for how long it's going to last, that's going to change a little bit into the weekend. But for now, I'll send things back over to Nathan and Natalie.
All right, thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
To Queen's Park now, and a new report from Ontario's Education Ministry is outlining issues with the number of early childhood educators.
The percentage of ECEs has been declining in recent years. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has been following this story and joins us live with the details. Siobhan.
Well, daycare operators have been really struggling to hang on to enough staff to be able to provide the care that parents are clamoring for, and there's not really a consensus about how best to attack this problem.
It's a persistent problem going back years. Not enough people to take care of our little ones. There are childcare centres across Ontario
with rooms closed, not because of lack of demand, but because there aren't enough people to staff them.
The target for the number of registered early childhood educators has been slipping. The goal when Ontario joined the $10 a day childcare program was for 60% of daycare staff to be RECEs. Ontario was at 59%. 2 years later, that number has dropped to 56%.
The number one thing they're telling us is that the wages are still too low.
The Association of Early Childhood Educators of Ontario and the Ontario Coalition for Better Childcare have been pushing for compensation beyond a boost announced late last year.
Advocating for a wage scale that starts at $30 to $40 an hour, which is much higher than our current wage floor of $23.86.
Operators say attracting and hanging on to RECEs is limiting their ability to serve kids and their parents.
If you don't have enough staff, you may have to shorten your hours of operation to make up that shortfall. So there are access issues, there are quality issues.
Hannon says the sector has also been hurt by scaled back immigration and student visas.
A lot of ECE programs have the majority, in colleges, have the majority of their students as international students.
Ontario's education minister continues to call on Ottawa to allow more for-profit daycares into the $10 a day program, something the feds have repeatedly said they won't do.
I don't think that would help the staffing issue at all, and I don't think that that's the answer to expansion challenges.
Powell says other provinces have shown improvement is possible.
Comprehensive wage grids, of health benefit plans, of access to pensions. So we know these things are possible, and Ontario educators deserve them as well.
Powell hasn't had any dialogue with the federal Conservatives about how they might handle the $10 a day childcare program should they form the next government, but she says it's critical that the program continue. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Coming up on CTV News, Mayor Olivia Chow gets ready to ring in the new year at Toronto City Hall. What 2025 will bring for taxpayers? That's just ahead.
But first, Peel police are asking for the public's help in locating a suspect in connection with a shooting in January. 25-year-old Neo Tyrese Hill of Welland is wanted in connection with the shooting on January 25th. Police say a woman in her 20s was shot at a hotel on Nexus Avenue in Brampton. She was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. A suspect left the scene and remains outstanding, while one person was arrested in connection with the shooting. Hill is wanted on several charges, including assault with a weapon and aggravated assault. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
And Toronto police have identified the city's latest homicide victim. 21-year-old David Cardozo of Toronto was fatally stabbed near St. Clair and Nairn Avenue just before 3 a.m. on Saturday. Police say several people were involved in an altercation outside when Cardozo was stabbed. He was rushed to hospital where he later died. 31-year-old Nelson Vidina has been charged with second-degree murder. Police are asking anybody with any information to come forward.
Condolence books have been set up at 3 Toronto police stations to honor a veteran officer who died while on duty last week. Detective John Park died suddenly on Thursday after experiencing a medical episode while executing a search warrant. The 40-year-old was a 14-year veteran of the force. He was married with 2 children, aged 9 and 5. Books of condolence have been set up at Toronto Police headquarters as well as 33 and 22 divisions and will be available to the public throughout the week. A funeral for Park will be held on Monday, December 30th.
Fire crews are continuing to search for the cause of a 2-alarm blaze at an Etobicoke home yesterday that critically injured one woman.
It was a severe fire. As I said, I spoke to the incoming crews and they literally saw the flames and the smoke from kilometers away. Our communications center took multiple calls and the excellent staff in our comms center escalated the alarm to a second alarm even before the first arriving crews arrived on scene. The fire had flashed over. The flames were rolling out the second floor upon their arrival, so they were met with extreme conditions.
Emergency crews were called to the home on Upper Humber Drive, just south of the 427 in Finch, shortly after 12:30 yesterday afternoon. 4 people were taken to hospital, including a woman who's in critical condition. 3 police officers were treated for smoke inhalation. They have since been released.
I was sleeping. I'm not too well. My daughter, she was leaving, but she wanted to go to the washroom. She heard somebody shouting downstairs, fire, fire, fire. So I told them, get your jackets on, wear your jackets, and get outside quick. So when I went outside, I saw there was a big fire going on there. Then I moved my vehicle. I brought my vehicle over here. And the fire truck and everything started to come quick because I called 911, and they said they have lots of calls about it already. So we have a fast reaction with the fire truck and stuff. They come and they did a good job.
The 3 police officers entered the building before fire crews arrived. They went in after receiving reports there may have been children trapped inside. They only found the one woman. Now, she was rescued and is currently being treated for her injuries in hospital.
A 17-year-old teen has had his license suspended after his car ended up in a river near Peterborough. OPP responded to reports of a vehicle in the Otonabee River shortly after 10 p.m. last night. The driver was able to get out of the vehicle himself and was later located by police at an address in Lakefield. He registered an alert during a breath test. The teen is now facing several charges, including careless driving, being a novice driver with blood alcohol content above 0, failing to report an accident, and failing to remain. The driver was issued a 3-day license suspension.
The province is asking the Supreme Court to hear a case that could clarify the obligations of governments to fight climate change. 7 young people allege Ontario's weakened emissions target violated their right to life. They say that includes committing the province to dangerously high levels of planet-warming emissions. They also allege they're being discriminated against because youth will bear the brunt of the impacts. Ontario's lawyers suggest this is an issue of national concern. They're asking the court to determine whether the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms imposes obligations on governments to fight climate change, and to what extent.
In Ottawa, the Prime Minister chaired a meeting today of the Cabinet Committee on Canada-U.S. Relations.
The meeting was convened despite growing calls from within the Liberal Party for Justin Trudeau to step down. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Those were the Prime Minister's parting words when he left Parliament Hill on Friday. With questions still swirling about Justin Trudeau's next steps, the Globe and Mail is reporting that he does not intend to step down over the holidays. Instead, the embattled Liberal leader intends to go on a trip with his family to British Columbia. While Trudeau may have plans to hit the slopes, calls have been mounting all week from within his caucus for him to take a walk in the snow.
I think people feel very negatively, or rather negatively, about all the options on the ballot if we were to have an election right now. And it would be nice to offer them somebody to vote for as opposed to against.
Ontario caucus members met virtually over the weekend, and of the more than 50 MPs said to be on the call, Liberals say not a single participant spoke in favor of Trudeau staying on. Since Chrystia Freeland's bombshell resignation 1 week ago, Trudeau has been seeking advice from those he trusts about next steps. Meanwhile, in a fresh fundraising email to supporters noting that this is going to be the last Christmas before the next campaign, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said his party has never been closer to defeating what he calls the NDP Liberal coalition. With Donald Trump taking office in less than a month, today Trudeau's itinerary had him taking part in a closed-door meeting of his special Cabinet Committee on Canada-U.S. Relations. Though political observers say that while he may be planning Canada's counter to tariffs, it remains to be seen if Trudeau will still be the Prime Minister by the time they're imposed.
There's definitely a prospect of him stepping down after the holidays. I don't think there's much prospect of him remaining in office. I just don't know how he's going to be able to continue on.
With a prime ministerial resignation, a parliamentary prorogation, or an early election call all seemingly still on the table, any decision Trudeau makes about what happens next will be consequential. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, this is one of the busiest times of the year for travel, and with that often comes delays and disruptions. Now, the federal government is proposing new rules focused on the obligation of airlines to help people. CTV's Alex Carpa has the details.
The new proposed rule changes are now providing some clarity to what compensation Canadian travelers could expect when their flights are either significantly delayed or cancelled.
I think that we're going to see a consistent and continuous pushback by the airlines.
Some of the rules would require airlines to provide refunds within 15 days if a passenger prefers to be reimbursed rather than rebooked. There are, however, exceptional circumstances that would circumvent these rules.
There will always be a loophole, and to be fair, any company is going to try to get out of paying compensation and they'll drag things out, and that's where we're seeing those long delays in the courts.
The new rules are now open to a 75-day feedback period. Gabor Lukács says around half of the flight delays and more than 2/3 of cancellations would still not qualify for compensation.
I'm very frustrated because I feel that the government is just rebranding the same old loopholes just by different name, by calling it exceptional circumstances.
Some passengers just hope they will actually see those compensations.
Some of the travelers will be more comfortable traveling, knowing that if there is a disruption, they may not be subject to sleeping in an airport or eating at McDonald's at their own cost.
I do think if you get stuck somewhere overnight, it would be nice to be compensated for that.
There is definitely value in making the systems a little bit more uniform with countries that sort of are like-minded.
The federal agency estimates the proposed amendments could cost around 99 cents per passenger for the airlines annually, or about $512 million over a 10-year period after they come into effect. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
In the U.S., the man accused of fatally shooting the CEO of United Healthcare pleaded not guilty today. Luigi Mangione appeared in a Manhattan court after being charged last week with multiple counts of murder. The state case will run alongside a federal prosecution. Authorities allege he killed Brian Thompson in New York on December 4th. The charges include murder as an act of terrorism. The district attorney says that reflects the severity of what was intended to cause shock and attention.
And in Germany, investigators are still trying to determine a motive in last week's deadly attack. Mourners laid flowers at a makeshift memorial for the 5 victims in the city of Magdeburg. More than 200 other people were hurt when a man drove a car into a Christmas market on Friday. The suspect is a Saudi doctor who arrived in Germany in 2006 and had received permanent residency.
Back here at home, Canada's GDP numbers show the economy was stronger than expected in October. Canada's real gross domestic product increased by 0.3% in October, with oil and gas leading the growth. Statistics Canada reports that goods-producing industries, mining, as well as oil and gas extraction rose by 0.9% after shrinking for 4 consecutive months. Manufacturing also rose by 0.3%. However, advanced data suggests the economy contracted slightly in November.
When you're talking a 0.3% growth, which is about 1.7% annually, they're all within a couple of decimal points of each other. As I just said, mining and natural resources were strongest, but construction was doing okay. So was real estate. So there was no real, there was nothing really standing out. In terms of a sector, the larger story, though, is that a nominal GDP has probably declined in November, yet again suggesting or showing that the economy is slowing down.
Experts suggest the numbers could lead the Bank of Canada to continue to cut its key interest rate next year. The next decision on the rate is January 29th.
The council calendar at Toronto City Hall has now drawn to a close for 2024.
But 2025 will soon begin with another budget battle that the mayor admits will likely yield another tax hike for Toronto.
Merry Christmas!
Heading into the holidays, Mayor Olivia Chow has been working on her wish list for the city.
Bon Natal!
Checking off some of the boxes she says she's proud of her progress on this year.
A fabulous year. We were busy building affordable housing, getting it done faster.
2024 at Toronto City Hall began with the highest property tax hike in the city's history and a standoff with Ottawa over federal funding for refugees, setting the stage for a year that would be dominated by debate over shelter supports, encampments, and the critical need for more housing.
We have a massive housing homelessness crisis. It's so visible now. And it's also not safe because it's cold. When people want to get warm, there's fire. So we are asking other levels of government to join with us to have more rent supplements because we're building homes, shelters as fast as we can.
The administration taking a crack at a public builder model, which relies on hundreds of millions of dollars from both the feds and Queen's Park every year.
With high interest rates, a lot of home builders are having a hard time building. So we are taking down the costs that the city normally charge, development charges, property taxes.
It is that file that Chow admits has been the toughest. Though the city did secure funding from other levels of government on other key asks this year. Ottawa finally pledging the $750 million needed for new Line 2 TTC trains.
The federal government said, okay, we'll join with you, finally order those subway cars. We've been asking for years, we got it.
And the province coming through with the cash to expedite the construction of a gridlocked Gardiner, after the city was accused of underestimating the paralyzing impact on Toronto traffic.
We're 4 months ahead of schedule, and so we're getting good cooperations with other levels of government.
But provincial interference foiled the city's plans for both bike lanes and safe consumption sites. Other political blows included being forced to apologize for the vacant home tax billing debacle and having to back down from a rideshare licensing cap in the face of a fight against Uber.
We listened carefully to the drivers and the customers, and they said capping it at $80,000 is not going to help us.
Chow touts her biggest wins as expanded student nutrition programs, increased library hours, and a TTC fare freeze, which do all come at a cost. The mayor telling CTV News there will be another property tax hike for residents next year. The question is how high.
It's going to be a tough holiday because the staff and the budget team really trying to contain the costs. We are cutting some things but increasing in other areas.
But increasing spending in some areas, she argues, has helped achieve the affordable city she campaigned on.
For the thousands of people that moved into affordable housing or get a rent supplement, yes, life is more affordable. We've done that, right? That's new. For TTC riders that don't have to pay extra, that's making their life a bit more affordable. For renters that are not getting evicted.
Affordability likely to remain one of Toronto's top challenges into the new year and beyond.
One more!
Chow set to charter the path forward for 2025, beginning with the budget. Still to come on CTV News, concerns about a parasite found in a dog in Peterborough. We'll have more on the risk of human infection just ahead.
I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, if you're still looking for last-minute gift ideas, be careful of too good to be true products that pop up in your social media feed. Some may be fakes trying to take your money. All of that story, that's just ahead.
And with this latest blast of wintry weather, we will have a white Christmas. About 2 centimeters will be expected across the GTA as of Christmas morning at 7 a.m. Now, will it be a perfect Christmas? Depends on your definition of perfect. But as far as your weather goes, we are looking at the likelihood of at least seeing some snow on the ground. Your full forecast coming up. All those details after the break.
My favorite holiday memory is when I went skating with my grandma and grandpa and cousins from Australia.
When I have my extended family over to my house to have fun, play games, and eat dinner.
And my favorite Christmas memory is when I got to be a Christmas angel and sing at my church.
Well, many people shop online with mainstream retailers, but you might also see interesting products pop up for sale in your social media feeds.
While some of these deals might be legitimate, others could be fake ads that could waste your money. Pat Foran explains on Consumer Alert.
Whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, you may see ads popping up for interesting or unique products that often look like a great deal. But some of these items could be of inferior quality, or if you order them, you might not get them at all. The ads you see in your social media feed can sometimes appear too good to be true. In Bill Sibb's case, it was for lawnmower equipment. He needed 2 hard-to-find belt parts for his old snapper mowers.
I found this place that said they did have them in stock.
He bought the parts, but days later his order was still pending.
Tried calling them, phone number's no good.
He called his credit card company and was able to reverse the overseas charge.
It's embarrassing because once I realized what I'd done, it's like, you idiot.
But Bill's not the only one with click remorse. According to a study by the Better Business Bureau, bogus online sales contributed to a 125% increase in fraud reports. Scammers are setting traps for unsuspecting scrollers.
Any item that's sold out everywhere else, if you see it randomly on a website that you've never heard of, there's a really good chance it could be fraudulent.
Online shoppers might not realize they're buying from a third-party vendor and not directly from a reputable website. Not only does this open the door for fraudulent transactions, but also faulty products.
Unsafe products like pajamas that violate federal flammability standards and carbon monoxide detectors that don't work have been sold by third-party sellers.
Before you click buy, do your homework.
If it's a business you've never heard of before, search it on BBB, search it elsewhere. If it's a retailer you're unfamiliar with, type in the name of the retailer with the word scam or review to see what other people are saying.
As for Bill, he eventually found what he needed from a credible website. And for all your online shopping, use your credit card. Most offer protections against fraud. So if your order never arrives, you can dispute the charge. On your side, I'm Pat for it.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, looking at the forecast, we know there's a winter weather advisory, so concern for those who are on the roads. But for the kids who are home from school, this is what they've been waiting for.
It was such a cold weekend that so many people were stuck inside the last 2 days. And then today is the day to get out in the snow, get those toboggans out of the shed. Finally, time to use them.
It feels like winter has literally just arrived, and we are, well into December. We've passed the winter solstice, so yeah, it's about time. Man, we've been waiting, right? Especially all the kids out there who got toboggans maybe last year for Christmas that you couldn't use because winter took so long to show up last year. So now you can use them. But as we head in towards the weekend, we're seeing a dramatic shift. The rain returns and temperatures are on the rise. So I guess get out and enjoy it now while you can. But early on, we saw those flurries flying, and I feel like most people didn't mind, right? We're in that different headspace in that this time of year when you want to spend some time outside with the wintry weather. The dogs loving it as long as they got the right kind of gear on, or I guess if you put boots on your dogs. But either way, it is going to be one of those forecasts over the next kind of 24 to 48 hours where you can actually get out and enjoy the snow. It changes, though, as we head in towards your Saturday and Sunday, and we are going well above seasonal. Today really has begun a slight above seasonal trend after such a bitterly cold weekend. We're at -1 right now. It feels like -4 Eastern Ontario, Ottawa, typically a bit cooler. They're at -10, feeling like -16. And almost everybody in Northern Ontario already experiencing a bit of a cool down. Now, tonight, even with the wind chill, we're staying above seasonal. We should be at -7 for this time of year. The flurries continue as we get past midnight and into the start of the day tomorrow before it kind of pushes out and we see a little sunshine so you can get out and enjoy all the snow without having more snow kind of in your way. So as far as travel goes, take your time. You have those advisories still very much in place. It really does blanket a large portion of southern Ontario. Heavier snow towards Parry Sound, Barrie, and out towards Ottawa. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of folks are driving tonight, tomorrow. If you have to go tonight and you're going into those areas under the warnings, just take your time. The bulk of the snow really does push through as we head in towards this evening. We get into the day tomorrow. We're sitting above seasonal. We've got a decent amount of sunshine, a light northwesterly wind, a picture perfect holiday forecast, if I do say so myself. We see the snow continue as we head in towards this kind of midpoint of our evening. We get past midnight, the bulk of it is going to be gone. We get a little sunshine to start the day. And because of the snow that we will have a white Christmas, which is 2 centimeters or more by the time we get into Christmas morning. As we head in towards the rest of our weekend and towards Christmas morning, towards Boxing Day and the rest of December, we are holding on to temperatures well above that seasonal point. So the snow that we've seen kind of falling throughout the day will be relatively short-lived. As far as how much, in towards the city, we'll see maybe that 3 to 5 centimeters. The further west you go, closer to that 7 to 10. And areas up towards, say, Parry Sound, they're looking at that 15 to 20 range. Temperature-wise, again, above seasonal right through to the end of the week. As we head in towards the day tomorrow, a decent amount of sunshine. There is the slight chance of maybe a few flurries into Wednesday, but your forecast as we head in towards Boxing Day and through the rest of the weekend, it is well above where we should be. We'll see rain kind of washing away a lot of the snow, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you like your weather, as we head in towards the weekend and in towards the end of the year next week. Natalie.
Okay, thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Well, NASA is hoping to fly a spacecraft closer to the sun than any previous object. Tomorrow, the Parker Solar Probe is expected to pass within a record-breaking 6.1 million kilometers of the sun's surface. The spacecraft was launched in 2018 to get a close-up look at the star. Since then, it has passed through the sun's corona, which is the outer atmosphere visible during a total solar eclipse. NASA will not know how the probe fared until days after it passes by the sun, as its journey will take it out of communication range.
The discovery of a particular parasite in a Peterborough area dog is raising concern.
As CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan explains, infections in humans are starting to appear as well.
The infected dog was brought into Peterborough's Sherbrooke Heights Animal Hospital for an unrelated issue.
We had a suspicion that perhaps intestinal parasites might be a problem for this pet.
Dr. Kristen Harton says tests confirmed the presence of a parasitic tapeworm, Echinococcus multilocularis.
It's here in our environment, here in likely in our wildlife, our wild canid populations, and very likely our rodent populations as well.
The tapeworm's eggs are typically picked up from dog feces by rodents like chipmunks or mice, and canids like foxes or coyotes eat the rodents, allowing the larvae to mature into adults in their intestines and once again shed eggs. But domestic dogs can also pick up the rodents or their feces and get infected, with the potential of transmitting it to humans.
Humans are accidental hosts.
It is very concerning and very risky to human health. So we do want to increase awareness, but not increase panic. This parasite especially doesn't appear to cause any clinical signs in dogs.
Dr. Isaac Bogosh says several cases have been found in humans, mostly in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and in Ontario there have been 4 confirmed cases of alveolar echinococcosis, the disease caused by this tapeworm, since 2017.
The issue is when humans do get infected, it can cause a very severe infection that's potentially life-threatening over a long period of time.
Treatment involves surgery and at least 2 years of antiparasitic medications.
The risk for humans is that once clinical signs are seen, it often means that the disease is very advanced, because it can take humans up to 5 to 15 years after being infected to show clinical signs. But at that stage, a lot of the time, the cysts have traveled to various parts of the body, but especially the liver, and it can act almost like metastatic cancers.
Fortunately, these cases are still remarkably rare in Canada, but I don't think there's a lot of awareness about this particular infection, and that means there can be delays in diagnosis and delays in treatment.
Another hurdle, the medication used, while common worldwide, is not approved by Health Canada, so applications must be made for special access in each case. Both Harton and Bogosh say education and regular veterinary checkups for your dog are the best ways to avoid this nasty parasite. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
For the first time in weeks, Canada Post began accepting new international mail following a month-long workers' strike. New commercial mail can be dropped off for processing. Parcel pickup services are also back. The Crown Corporation has been working through a backlog, and it expects a significant portion of processed parcels to be delivered before Christmas. But there will be delays for domestic packages into the new year. Thousands of employees went back to work last week after the Labour Board ordered an end to the strike. There's no new agreement yet between Canada Post and the union.
More than 7,000 Jeep SUVs are being recalled due to a software issue with the rearview camera. Fiat Chrysler Canada says the affected models are all from 2024. They include the Grand Cherokee, Wagoneer, and Grand Wagoneer. On certain vehicles, the software problem prevents the rearview camera from appearing on the display.
It's a deal that could shift the global automotive industry. Honda and Nissan are in talks of merging.
CTV's Michael Couture has more on the talks and what it could mean for Canadian consumers.
The CEOs of Honda and Nissan were blunt. This is not a bailout. Instead, they're looking at joining forces to fight the emerging threat from China and its burgeoning electric vehicle industry. We believe we must build up capabilities to fight them, including the current emerging forces by 2030, says Honda CEO, adding otherwise, we will be beaten. If they do merge, it would create the third largest automotive group in terms of sales, behind Toyota and Volkswagen. It would put the combined company in a better position to compete with Tesla and Chinese-owned BYD.
They've built up these plants in China to the point where they they have saturated their market. And now, in order to keep the plants going, they need to export.
Still, the former CEO of Nissan doesn't see these talks going anywhere because the companies don't complement each other.
They are strong in the same fields. They are weak in the same fields. Both of them have very developed technologies. From an industrial point of view, there is duplication everywhere.
A merger of the three would be the largest shift in the automotive landscape since Fiat Chrysler and the PSA Group became Stellantis. Experts say that consolidation is a trend.
But it's also an effort to bulk up and gear up for what's coming down the pipe, which is this incredible transformation that's going on in terms of the shift towards EVs.
A merger could mean fewer models produced, but higher quality.
We may see better product from Honda and Nissan as they share components and development.
The three companies are aiming to have a formal merger agreement in the next 6 months and complete the deal by August of 2026. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Still ahead, a local twist on a classic tale. The Toronto connection to a totally awesome family musical. The details coming up.
We have the first round of equipment out there, and they'll be working all through the day into the evening and possibly into the overnight in the morning.
Updating our top stories now, 15 centimeters of snow is expected for much of the GTA as a travel advisory remains in effect. Drivers are being urged to slow down and pay extra attention.
Comprehensive wage grids, of health benefit plans, of access to pensions. So we know these things are possible, and Ontario educators deserve them as well.
Advocates are calling for action to increase the number of workers at childcare centres in the province. Many say wages are still too low. Ontario wants the federal government to allow more for-profit daycares into the $10 a day program, but Ottawa has repeatedly said no.
It would be nice to offer them somebody to vote for as opposed to against.
Justin Trudeau has reportedly been seeking advice on what his next move should be amid growing calls from within the Liberal Party for him to step down. Today he was chairing a cabinet committee meeting on Canada-U.S. relations.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have news tips, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
In sports, the Maple Leafs were without Austin Matthews for a second straight game as he recovers from an upper body injury. Toronto played its final game before the holiday break this afternoon against the Winnipeg Jets.
Nylander, Mitch Marner directed it through, and they score. And it's Tavares again against the Jets, and it's 2-1.
And that was the first of 2 goals by John Tavares in the game, but the visiting Jets went on to win 5-2 and grab top spot in the NHL. The Leafs play Friday in Detroit. Meanwhile, William Nylander has been named one of the NHL's 3 stars of the week. The Leafs forward had 5 goals and 2 assists, including 3 multi-point games. He was chosen as the second star of the week. Nylander is second in NHL scoring this season with 23 goals.
The Raptors are in New York looking to bounce back from a loss at home yesterday against the Houston Rockets and a familiar face.
Van Vliet gets his first made field goal.
Fred Van Vliet played his former team for the first time since leaving the Raptors in 2023. He was injured when Houston visited Toronto last season. The Rockets went on to beat Toronto 114-110 last night. Tip-off for the Raptors and Knicks tonight is set for just after 7:30.
Toronto's annual winter pantomime is back, and this time Toronto has been cast as Oz in the familiar tale of the wizard.
But as is customary, there is something for all ages in this entertaining musical. CTV's Andrea Case has the details.
Since graduating from Sheridan College, actor Vanessa Sears has had a connection to The Wizard of Oz.
I actually got to play Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, the musical, at Young People's Theatre in Toronto very soon after graduating college, and that was one of my first big roles in Toronto. So it feels really full circle to have that reference, the movie reference, Wicked, and now to be doing this panto. It's kind of an incredible journey to get to spend so much time in Oz.
She won a Dora Award for Outstanding Performance in Young People's Theatre production of The Wizard of Oz. Now she's playing the Wicked Witch in Canadian Stage's production of The Wizard of Oz, a totally awesome family musical.
Having the first couple of previews to really test out that relationship with the audience has been so gratifying. They are so engaged, they are so locked in, they're booing for the Wicked Witch, which is phenomenal. I'm always asking for more boos, it's really, really fun. They're cheering for all of the singing and dancing. They're so invested in Dorothy and her story. It's really, really exciting. It's not a form of theater that I'm used to, but I'm enjoying it so, so much.
It's the latest holiday pantomime following the long history of the Ross Petty productions, taking popular stories and giving them a local twist. And she's enjoying playing the villain.
It's deliciously fun to be evil sometimes. It's also great to be such a larger-than-life version of the Wicked Witch, because you get to kind of really enjoy that you're not really going to terrify anyone. You're not going to send any kids home crying, but you get to toe the line of not being the one that people are rooting for, and then having so much fun drawing them in and toying with people and having that relationship with the audience that by the end, they kind of are rooting for the Wicked Witch.
It's no coincidence this version of The Wizard of Oz is on stage at the same time the blockbuster film is in theaters. Unlike the big screen version, the audience is encouraged to react to what they're seeing on stage.
In a way, there's like this beautiful kind of release for younger audiences too that they don't always get to have. So, you know, come for the laughs, stay for the cathartic release.
The Wizard of Oz, a totally awesome family musical, is on stage now at the Elgin Winter Garden Theatre until January 5th. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Still to come on CTV News, the Holly Jolly Premier issues season's greetings from Queen's Park. A festive Ford in a Santa suit coming up.
Yeni yılınız mübarek. Bu ilham için uğurlu ve düşerli olsun. Merry Christmas. 圣诞节 Happy Christmas. Maligayang bakasyon. Happy holiday. Herkese mutlu yıllar dilerim. I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Some holiday greetings from students at the TDSP. And Premier Doug Ford also released his annual Christmas message today.
As Christmas arrives with hope shining bright, we're forging ahead with unwavering might. I'm grateful to the people of Ontario for your trust and your cheer. Together, we'll build a future that's stronger each year. Merry Christmas to all with a new year in sight. Merry Christmas, Ontario, and to all a good night. Ho, ho, ho.
And that's the Premier. He donned a Santa suit as he delivered his message in the style of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." The video featured several ministers and outlined his government's plans for the new year.
Well, there you go. And we know it's just 2 more sleeps until the real Santa comes to town. Gearing up for a white Christmas, in fact.
We are. It's Christmas Eve, and we are looking at snow tonight and into the start of the day tomorrow. So for the folks who want to get out and enjoy the wintry weather, you absolutely can over the next few days. But things are going to change as we head into the weekend. So just keep that in mind. We're going to lose maybe some of that snow, but we are looking at a white Christmas, at least as we get in towards Christmas Eve and Christmas morning. Right now, still watching for some pretty tricky driving out there. So just take your time. We have that advisory still in place, likely to carry us through into the overnight and at least to the start of the day tomorrow. Sitting at -1, feeling like -4, and we're on the rise. We're staying above seasonal really right through to the end of the year. So keep that in mind. We have a little snow just in time for the holiday season. And then as we head into your Saturday, Sunday, Monday, wow, temperatures back above seasonal. A little rain on the way. We get a little bit of everything as we head into the holiday season.
Very good. That's it for us. Be sure to join us tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Sean Leithong with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a good night.